The night sky over New York City seemed no different. Stars glimmering faintly above the urban haze, satellites tracing their silent arcs. Yet, somewhere beyond that fragile atmosphere, a ripple of unease spread across the cosmos. It began with a transmission, a burst of static that hijacked every device on Earth. Smartphones, radios, even old CRT televisions sparked to life, displaying the same cryptic message. Earth, you are now under observation. The Empire is watching. Prepare for contact. The message repeated in hundreds of languages, its tone unyielding and cold. Within hours, the world plunged into chaos. Social media platforms exploded with theories. Alien invasion? A hoax? A guerrilla marketing stunt? But the strange phenomena that followed left no room for doubt. In the skies above, stars began to vanish. Across the globe, astronomers were the first to notice. Regions of space, previously mapped in meticulous detail, now appeared as gaping voids. Major constellations were incomplete, and galaxies visible for millennia through telescopes seemed to have been erased. At the European Southern Observatory, astrophysicist Dr. Maria Vasquez stared at her monitor in disbelief. "It's not just light being blocked," she muttered to her colleague, Daniel Wright. "The stars themselves, they're gone." "What could do that?" Daniel asked, leaning closer. Maria swallowed hard. "Something massive and deliberate." The global response was as fractured as one might expect. Leaders of major nations scrambled to interpret the warning while dealing with panicking populations. Protests erupted, fueled by conspiracy theories. Some believed the transmission was divine judgment. Others claimed it was an elaborate government experiment. In the United Nations Emergency Assembly, a heated debate unfolded. "We need to send a message back," said Ambassador Cho of South Korea. "This could be an opportunity for peaceful diplomacy. Or a trap," countered General Rutherford of the United States. "What if we reveal too much? These beings could see us as weak." Meanwhile, a collective of independent scientists, hackers, and visionaries formed a rogue coalition, Project Aegis. Their goal? To decipher the alien signal's deeper layers, believing it contained more than a simple warning. Weeks passed. Then came the sighting. A massive vessel materialized in orbit. Unlike anything humanity had ever conceived, the ship resembled a floating city of black obsidian, pulsating with streaks of light like veins. It was silent and unmoving, casting an ominous shadow over Earth. As governments scrambled to respond, the ship transmitted again. This time, a face appeared, humanoid, yet distinctly alien. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, eyes glowing with an unsettling intelligence. "I am Envoy Kale of the Drathan Empire," it spoke, its voice resonating directly into the minds of all who heard it. "Your species stands at a crossroads. Submit to integration into the Empire, or face obliteration." The world held its breath. As news of Kale's ultimatum spread, humanity turned to the one place it always did in times of crisis: social media. Platforms like TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, became battlegrounds of opinion, satire, and fear. A TikTok trend called #message to the aliens went viral, with people filming themselves sending humorous, often defiant messages to the Drathan. Memes flooded X, mocking Kale's glowing eyes and metallic features. Others, however, warned against underestimating the Empire, calling for immediate action. One such voice belonged to 18-year-old tech prodigy Mia Khan, whose video deciphering patterns in the alien transmission garnered millions of views. "They're studying us," she said. "They're watching how we react, learning our weaknesses." In an abandoned Cold War bunker repurposed as a lab, the members of Project Aegis worked tirelessly. Dr. Vasquez and Mia Khan joined forces, decoding the layers of the transmission. What they found sent chills down their spines. The stars that disappeared, Maria explained to the group, weren't destroyed. They were harvested. Harvested? Mia echoed. For energy. The Drathan Empire uses entire stars to fuel their conquests. The room fell silent. Daniel Wright broke it with a grim observation. "If they're studying us, it's because they've done this before. They want to know if we're worth saving, or just another resource to consume." Despite the growing threat, humanity's resilience began to shine. Scientists across the globe shared research openly, creating a decentralized network of ideas. Nations once divided by politics united under a common goal: survival. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source: fusion researcher Dr. Jean Soo-yeon in South Korea. Inspired by the Drathans methods, her team discovered a way to weaponize Earth's magnetic field temporarily. The resulting pulse, dubbed Gaia's Spear, could disable the Drathan ship systems. But activating it would require the cooperation of every space agency and military power on Earth. Kale returned, demanding Earth's answer. But this time, humanity replied with its own ultimatum: leave or face the wrath of Earth. Kale's metallic face twisted into what could only be described as amusement. Primitive defiance, he mused. But intriguing. Very well. Let us test your resolve. A single strike from the Drathan ship vaporized a small island in the Pacific. The message was clear. Yet humanity did not back down. Space agencies repurposed satellites to focus their energy on delivering Gaia's Spear. Civilians volunteered en masse for defense efforts, while social media became a hub for spreading real-time updates and solidarity. "You can take our stars," Mia Khan tweeted, "but you'll never take our will." The post went viral, becoming a rallying cry. The Drathan ship began deploying smaller vessels, harvesting Earth's resources and causing localized devastation. Time was running out. As Gaia's Spear neared completion, Kale issued one final threat. "You have impressed the Empire with your spirit, but defiance has a cost. Submit now, and we may spare a fraction of your world." On the brink of destruction, the leaders of Earth held their ground. The final activation of Gaia's Spear approached. But would it be enough? Or was Earth merely delaying the inevitable? The countdown to Gaia's Spear activation entered its final hours. Around the world, people braced for what might be humanity's last stand. Emergency broadcasts played soothing messages, urging calm, but the truth hung heavy. The fate of Earth rested on an untested gamble. On the repurposed International Space Station, now acting as the nerve center for Gaia's Spear, Mia Khan worked tirelessly alongside Dr. Jean Soo-yeon and Dr. Vasquez. The station was now packed with cutting-edge tech, much of it jury-rigged from satellite components scavenged from decommissioned orbital platforms. "All power nodes synced," announced Mia. "We're at 98% efficiency. It's now or never." Dr. Vasquez glanced at her monitor. "Let's hope the Earth's magnetic field can handle this. If it collapses, we might save the planet, only to doom ourselves to a radiation wasteland." "We don't have a choice," Dr. Jean replied grimly. "Kale has left us none." Meanwhile, on the surface, chaos continued to spread. Drathan landing parties deployed across major resource hubs, stripping Earth's natural reserves with brutal efficiency. Vast machines, resembling metallic spiders, latched onto oil fields, forests, and even oceans, draining energy and matter alike. In New York City, resistance fighters coordinated ambushes. Civilians armed with drones, improvised EMPs, and raw determination attacked the alien machines in hit-and-run strikes. The hashtag #HumansResist trended globally, uniting people across languages and borders. One such resistance leader, Captain James Holden, broadcast a message from a secure underground bunker. "To anyone listening, the Drathan think we're just a nuisance. Let's prove them wrong. They may have their empire, their weapons, and their ships, but we have something they'll never understand. We fight for home. We fight for family. And we fight together." The message spread like wildfire, inspiring more to join the resistance. As the Drathan ship moved into position over Earth's poles, preparing a final energy harvest, Kale addressed the planet once more. "Your defiance amuses us," Kale said, his voice as smooth as polished steel. "But resistance is futile. Humanity's stubbornness will be your undoing." On the ISS, Mia frowned. "They're positioning directly over the North Pole. That's perfect for Gaia's Spear." Dr. Jean nodded. "It's risky, but if we channel the full force of the planet's magnetic field at that exact moment, we might overload their energy systems. And if we miss?" Vasquez asked. Mia swallowed. "Then we won't be around to regret it." The signal was sent. Around the world, satellites aligned, forming an invisible web of energy. At ground level, power plants, Particle accelerators and solar farms pushed their output to the maximum, funneling power to the ISS. The final activation sequence began. Gaia's spear, a concentrated pulse of electromagnetic energy, charged to its peak. Ready to fire in 3-2, Mia's voice trembled. 1. Now. A brilliant wave of energy erupted from the poles, visible even from the surface as auroras of unimaginable intensity. The pulse surged through the Earth's atmosphere, striking the Drathan ship with pinpoint accuracy. For a moment, everything went silent. The Drathan vessel faltered, its lights dimming as its systems overloaded. Sparks flew from its exterior, and smaller ships in its fleet tumbled out of orbit, crashing into Earth's oceans and deserts. Cheers erupted worldwide. Civilians hugged strangers in the streets. Social media lit up with triumph. Hashtag Earth Prevails began trending, alongside memes mocking Kale's earlier arrogance. But the celebration was short-lived. From the ISS, Dr. Vasquez observed the Drathan flagship through her telescope. "It's still intact," she whispered, her heart sinking. Kale's face reappeared on every screen. This time, his metallic features were cracked, his glowing eyes dimmer, but his smirk remained. "Impressive," he admitted. "Few civilizations have ever survived our first engagement. But your victory is incomplete. The Empire has seen your potential, and we cannot allow it to grow unchecked." As his words faded, the void of space behind the Drathan flagship began to shimmer. One by one, new ships appeared, each larger and more imposing than the last. Back on the ISS, Mia and the team scrambled to adjust. "This was only the first wave," she said, panic in her voice. "They're sending reinforcements." Dr. Jean clenched her fists. "Then we need to adapt." Gaia's spear worked, but we'll need more power to take out an entire fleet. On Earth, resistance leaders like Captain Holden prepared for the worst. Underground bunkers became hubs of innovation, as engineers worked on creating smaller, portable versions of Gaia's spear to disrupt Drathan ground operations. Meanwhile, rogue hackers began intercepting Drathan communications, hoping to uncover a weakness. One hacker group, calling themselves Spectre, claimed to have cracked part of the Empire's data encryption. "What we've found is bigger than anything we imagined," their leader said in a viral live stream. "The Drathan aren't invincible. They're running from something even they fear." As the Drathan reinforcements approached, Kale issued a final ultimatum. "Submit now, and we may spare your world from annihilation. Refuse, and we will burn your planet until nothing remains." But humanity had no intention of surrendering. Mia looked out the ISS viewport, her determination unwavering. "We've faced plagues, wars, and our own worst impulses. We've always risen above. They want to test us? Let them. We'll show them what humanity is truly capable of." Below her, Earth glimmered like a jewel in the vast darkness of space, a fragile but unyielding beacon of hope. Spectre's discovery sent shockwaves through the resistance. Buried within the intercepted Drathan communications was a fragment of data hinting at a massive conflict that predated even the rise of the Empire. This ancient struggle had left the Drathan scarred, paranoid, and fiercely expansionist. "We're not their biggest problem," Spectre's leader, a masked figure known only as Shadow, said in a secure broadcast. "They're terrified of something worse, something powerful enough to challenge them. And whatever it is, it's coming this way." The revelation galvanized humanity's efforts. If they could find evidence of this ancient enemy, it might be enough to negotiate, or even scare, the Drathan into retreating. On the surface, Captain James Holden and his resistance fighters captured a damaged Drathan scout vessel during a daring raid in the ruins of London. Among the wreckage, they found an injured Drathan soldier, unlike Kale's cold arrogance. This one seemed desperate. "Why didn't you kill me?" the soldier, who introduced himself as THRYX, asked in heavily accented English. "Because we need answers," Holden replied. THRYX hesitated before revealing what little he could. "The Empire, it is not as strong as it appears. We consume because we must. Without resources, we would fall to the void just as our creators did." When pressed for details, THRYX spoke of a force known only as the Eclipsed, an ancient race thought long extinct. They are shadows that consume light, destroyers of stars. We ran from them, and now we conquer to prepare for their return. The admission stunned the resistance leaders. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival against the Drathan. They were caught in the crossfire of a galactic apocalypse. On board the ISS, Mia, Dr. Jean, and Dr. Vasquez worked tirelessly to enhance Gaia's spear. But as new Drathan reinforcements poured into the solar system, their time was running out. "This is impossible," Dr. Jean muttered. "Even if we amplify the spear's power tenfold, it won't be enough to destroy an entire fleet." Mia stared at the data, her mind racing. "Maybe we don't have to destroy them all. What if we focus on their command ship? Take out Kale, and the rest might retreat." "But even if we succeed," Vasquez interjected, "what about the Eclipsed? If the Drathan are afraid of them, how can we possibly stand a chance?" Mia's resolve hardened. "We'll deal with them when the time comes. One battle at a time." Earth's leaders, finally united by the looming threat, decided to make one last attempt at diplomacy. Using the captured Drathan vessel and THRYX's reluctant cooperation, they sent a transmission directly to Kale. The message, delivered by Captain Holden, was simple. "We know about the Eclipsed. You're not invincible, and you're not the only ones fighting for survival. We propose a truce. Work with us, and together we might stand a chance. Continue this war, and we all lose." Kale's face appeared on the screen, his metallic features unreadable. For the first time, he hesitated. "You presume much, Captain," he said, his voice quieter than before. "But your words are not without merit. I will consult with the High Council. Until then, hostilities will pause. Do not squander this reprieve." As the Drathan fleet remained in a holding pattern, humanity seized the opportunity to prepare. Engineers worked around the clock to retrofit Gaia's spear, now aiming to create a system capable of defending against threats far beyond the Drathan. THRYX proved invaluable, offering insights into Drathan technology and tactics. Though many distrusted him, he seemed genuinely invested in the alliance. "Your species has potential," he told Mia during a quiet moment. "Perhaps more than any other I have encountered. Do not waste it." Mia's focus shifted to a cryptic set of coordinates found in the Drathan database, an ancient derelict station orbiting a dying star. According to THRYX, it was the last known repository of information about the Eclipsed. "We have to go there," Mia insisted. "If we can learn what they are, or how to stop them, it might be our only chance." A multinational crew, including Mia, THRYX, and Captain Holden, set off in a retrofitted Drathan ship. The journey to the station was fraught with danger, as the crew had to navigate through unstable star systems and avoid Drathan factions opposed to the truce. When they finally arrived, the station loomed like a ghost, its surface pockmarked by millennia of micrometeoroid impacts. Inside, they discovered records left by a species predating even the Drathan. The Eclipsed, the recordings explained, are a force of entropy, drawn to energy-rich civilizations. They consume everything, light, matter, and even the bonds of space-time. One final message sent chills through the crew. They are already here. Back on Earth, the truce began to fray. Some Drathan commanders defied Kale's orders, launching skirmishes against human resistance forces. At the same time, factions within humanity doubted the alliance and called for preemptive strikes. In orbit, Kale convened with his High Council, debating whether to honor the truce or crush Earth before the Eclipsed arrived. "Humanity is resourceful," Kale admitted, "but they are unpredictable. Can we risk trusting them?" The decision was left hanging as Earth's leaders, desperate and divided, faced mounting pressure to act. As the Drathan fleet loomed overhead, tensions reached a boiling point. A splinter faction of Drathan commanders, eager to assert their dominance and take Earth before the Eclipsed could arrive, made their move. Without warning, they launched a devastating assault on Earth's defensive installations. Mia, Captain Holden, THRYX, and the rest of the crew aboard the Drathan ship watched helplessly as explosions lit up the night sky over major cities. The truce had broken. There was no turning back now. "We have to stop them," Holden said, his voice cold with anger. "We were given a chance to survive, and they threw it away. This war, it ends today." Mia's mind raced. The Drathan, now divided, were vulnerable, but Earth couldn't fight a two-front war against both the Empire and the emerging threat of the Eclipsed. There had to be another way. A way to strike at the heart of the Drathan command and make them understand what they were truly facing. "We have the Eclipse data," Mia said urgently. "We can use the Drathan's own fears against them. We know how they've survived, how they hide. But if we can expose them to the Eclipsed first, we can break their will to fight." THRYX's eyes darkened. "The Eclipsed are not something you can control. The Drathan fled from them for a reason. I warned you." But Mia stood firm. "We're out of options. If we don't take this risk, it's all over. Let's force Kale to face the truth. He'll have to choose between fighting Earth or surviving the Eclipsed." On Earth, chaos had spread into a full-scale war. Resistance groups, now working with Drathan defectors like THRYX, began pushing back against the rogue factions of the Empire. Cities that had once been symbols of human ingenuity were now battlegrounds. But amidst the destruction, humanity's determination hardened. "We may be fighting against impossible odds," Captain Holden said over a global broadcast. "But if there's one thing we've learned, it's that no one, not even an empire that spans galaxies, can stop us when we stand together." His words inspired millions. The tide was shifting. Meanwhile, aboard the Drathan flagship, Kale sat in a cold, dark chamber, facing a choice. The rebellion within his ranks had caused irreparable damage. The High Council was fractured, and even the Drathan themselves were divided on whether they should remain or leave Earth. But deep down, Kale knew the greater threat was not the humans. It was what lurked in the dark, waiting. And then, the first signs came. A ripple in the fabric of space. A disturbance that stretched across light years. The Eclipsed were here. Across the galaxy, stars began to flicker and fade. Entire constellations blinked out of existence as the Eclipsed made their presence known. Their ships were unlike anything ever seen. Vast, looming structures that swallowed light, leaving only darkness in their wake. And from the void, a single figure emerged, its form indistinct but undeniably powerful. The humans, desperate to survive, did the unthinkable. They broadcasted a message directly to the Eclipsed, hoping against hope that the aliens would hear them. "You want our stars?" Mia's voice rang out over the interstellar channels. "You want to consume our light? We have something for you." It was a gamble. The Drathan, having underestimated the human resolve, had failed to realize that Earth had been planning for a greater, unknown adversary all along. As the last line of defense, the humans had prepared one final weapon. Not a physical weapon, but an idea. "We are more than just light," Mia continued. "We are ideas. We are resilience. We are creativity. We are the ones who build, who resist, who love. And we'll make you see that if you come for us, you will face something you cannot consume, our will to survive." The Eclipsed ships faltered. They were not prepared for a force like this. As they surged forward, their ships froze, hovering in the void. The dark figure that led them hesitated. It had been centuries since it had encountered anything that fought back. And then, just as the final confrontation seemed inevitable, something unexpected happened. The Drathan, led by Kale, made a choice that stunned both humanity and the Eclipsed. In a final, desperate bid to save their own species, Kale broadcasted an urgent message to the humans. "The Eclipsed will destroy us all. They are too powerful, even for the Empire. But we can fight them together." The humans and Drathan, former enemies, now found themselves aligned against a greater threat. But the alliance came with a price. Trust, something neither side had ever known, had to be forged in the fires of desperation. As Kale relayed their deepest knowledge of the Eclipsed, how to track them, how to weaken them, humanity shared their greatest advantage, the power of their collective resolve. The war, it seemed, was no longer about conquest. It was about survival. The battle unfolded in the depths of space, as humanity and the Drathan, united by a common cause, fought against the seemingly unstoppable force that was the Eclipsed. Gaia's spear, amplified beyond belief, struck their ships with blinding energy. The combined forces of Earth's resistance and Drathan technology clashed with the Eclipsed in a battle that shook the cosmos. In the end, The Eclipsed retreated, not out of defeat, but because they realized that the one thing they could not consume was the indomitable spirit of a united species. Humanity, in the Drathan Empire, had prevailed. In the aftermath of the battle, as Earth and the Drathan began rebuilding, a new reality was born. Humanity, once vulnerable and divided, had shown the galaxy the strength of their unity. They had faced an empire, an ancient enemy, and the very fabric of space itself, and they had survived. The stars that had been consumed slowly returned, a symbol of the enduring will of those who refused to surrender. And the Earth, once again bathed in the light of 1,000 suns, stood as a beacon of hope to the galaxy. Mia stood at the edge of the rebuilt space station, looking out over the planet she had fought so hard to protect. Beside her, THRYX offered a rare smile. "You've proven them wrong," he said softly. "Not just them," Mia replied. "We've proven something much greater." And with that, the stars shone brighter than ever before, the future of Earth and its newfound allies glowing with the promise of endless possibility.